Well, I got my bearings in the mail today. I wasn't able to get this other bearing, but I did pop the cap off of this. It goes over that and holds the grease in, and I took a really fine pick and I popped the cap off, and I'm going to repack this with some grease. Sorry. This is there's nothing wrong with this bearing. There's no play, and it still had some grease in it. I'm just going to repack it, put it back together, put the seal back on. Somebody else suggested that I sand this off or polish the oxidation off of it, the armature, and I did that. And another person suggested that an easy way to get this bearing to slide down over here is to put this in the freezer for a couple hours and let it contract and heat this up a little bit, and then it should slide back on. But there's a shoulder down here, so I don't really run the risk of getting it on too far. I got to put it right down to that shoulder. And then I've got the sleeve that the bearing fits into, and then goes into the bottom of that there. And what I'm going to do is take a brush with some epoxy. I'm going to, where that bearing sleeve fits down in there, I'm going to put a coating of epoxy in there, and then mash this down in there, and then slide it all down in there so it won't move around. So that's what I'm going to do next. Wrong end. Pack this up with some grease, put that seal back on, and then go put this in the freezer and cool it down. And I ought to have this together here in just a couple more hours, about 3 hours. I'm going to let this sit in the freezer for, I don't know, hour and a half or so. See you in a bit. Alright, I'm going to pack this with some grease. I won't show you the whole thing, I'll just give you an idea how it's done. Take a little bit of grease on your thumb and you wipe it in there, and as you wipe it off your thumb, you're packing it down into the bearings. It's a lot easier to do this when both sides of the bearing are open and there's no seal on either side, but this is going to work just fine. Alright, you get the idea. I'm going to wipe my thumb off and shut you off and finish packing this. Okay, it's packed. I got the seal back in there, and I actually got some of the grease to come out. Let me see if I can zoom this really close here. Underneath the bearing, I actually got some of the grease to come around the seal. There we go. Yeah. So, man, this thing's going to be good for another 12 years. All right, we got a nice frosty armature. Really, it's got ice on it. So let's see if that's going to help me get this down on there. I am going to tap on it. Now I'm going to take a socket, put it over that. Am I down on the shoulder yet? You know what? I'm just about on the shoulder. I'm just going to give it a few sharp raps. Take the flashlight, make sure this thing's seated. Oh yeah. Okay. While you were gone, I went ahead and greased the inside of this. That's where that fits in. Here's the bearing cup. I don't really know what it's called. I forget. Now, that's how it goes over the bearing like that. And then this all fits down inside that. But first, I'm going to put my epoxy down here. And what I've got is a tube of liquid metal that I have left over from the coffee can rocket stove that I made, and I'm just going to put that down in there, mash the armature in there, and put this back together, and I'll show you that when I'm done. Alright, I got a couple of screws to tighten up here. Had to put that bracket back on there. I've already put one brush in. I'm going to put the other one in just a second. Alright. It was a little tricky to get back in there. Let's hope I don't lose this. It's spring loaded. Make sure you can see this. That's what a brush looks like, and it rides up against the armature. It's just carbon, and it's got a spring in it, and as they wear, the spring pushes them in deeper and deeper, and boy, this is hard to get this thing in there and hold it and get that in there. Let's see if it'll just happen to pop in. If it takes too long, I'll shut the camera off. Come on, get in there. All right. All right, there we go. That sound you hear is the grease. It'll wear in a little bit. All right. I'm going to blow the sawdust out the bottom of my saw and put this back together, and we'll cut something. You know what? While I got it turned upside down and exposed, I'm going to put a little bit of light oil on these rods that adjust the angle and the height. I'll be right back. Okay, it's on. Now I need to put that little electrical box on, and that goes, let's see, right here, and then I'll put my legs back on, turn it over, crank it up, and if nothing's, if it works all right, I'll show you me cutting something on it. Be right back. Alrighty. I just want to thank all the people that encouraged me to go ahead and try to fix it. I don't know what I was thinking. I was going to throw it away. And I've been thinking the last few days why. Typically, if something of mine breaks, the first thing I do is tear into it and see what's wrong. But I'll tell you what, not having a job sure puts a ding in your self-confidence and your self-esteem. And I didn't think I could fix it. And I appreciate all the encouragement from the people who viewed and commented on the last video. Anyway, this will probably last me another 10 or 12 years. I'm glad I didn't have to buy another one. Thanks for watching.